In this video I'll be showing you how to fix a stuck A button on a PDP Xbox One controller. The first step is to remove the 7 screws on the back of the controller holding the two parts of the shell together. With the screws removed, you should be able to pull the back part of the shell off the controller. You might need a little bit of force to do this as it's still held in place by a few clips. The board's only held in place by friction, so you should be able to get this out now as well. It's held in place quite tightly, so you'll probably need a bit of force to do this. And I find it easiest to lift from the bottom end because the charging port is obstructed by the plastic surrounding it. Three more screws to undo now, after which we'll be able to remove the top section of the controller. You'll want to tilt the part backwards as you're pulling it, and again this is going to require a bit of force to remove. I'll just move these bits to one side. With that piece out of the way, you'll now be able to start taking the buttons out of the shell. Now you don't have to do this, but I'm going to be giving the shell a bit of a clean while it's open, which is why I want to take all the buttons out. I'll wash this front piece in some warm soapy water, and hopefully this will get rid of some of the sticky patches and some of the dirt that's on the front of the controller. I have to say it looks much brighter now it's been cleaned, and those patches are gone off the front as well, so that's a great result. And now we can get on to fixing the issue with the A button. So to fix the stuck A button, I've just trimmed around the button pad on the bottom edge, as it looks like the shape of the pad is the reason it starts to stick. And you can see now that it's been cut. When I'm pushing this button down, it's actually not getting stuck anymore. Once it's been trimmed, you can then put this piece back over the buttons and we can start to reassemble the controller. To replace the top piece, you'll need to get this little board and you'll just need to slot that into the plastic before attaching it back to the front of the controller. Now I find the easiest way to get this top piece back in is if you hold it flat against the shell, push it as far as you can, and you should feel it start to feel a little bit tight. There's a little bit of friction there, and then you'll want to just tilt it backwards slightly just to get it over those plastic pins that we saw earlier. Once that's done, you can screw that part back into place. And the board should just slot back into place, but it is a friction fit, so it can be quite fiddly to try and get it in. If you can try and sit the board flat in the shell and just try and get the analog sticks, if you feel underneath where the sticks are, you want to try and coax them through the holes in the shell, as it's usually the analog sticks where you'll get stuck. Just get the vibration motors in as well. Make sure the longer grooves are on the top of the motor just so it sits in the slot correctly. And then just push the board down with a bit of force, just trying to snap it into place. And that looks like it's in right, so now all that's left to do is put the back of the shell back in place. Now this part can be a little bit tricky, so what we're going to do first of all is just lift the board at the bottom by the headphone jack, just lift that slightly out of the shell. So what we're going to do first is hook the shell over the headphone jack, and then we'll be able to clip it back in properly. If everything's lined up correctly, it should now snap back together. And now to put the screws back in, and then we're finished. So as you can see now it's back together, it looks a lot nicer than it did when I started. If we just flip it over and test that A button, and there we go, it's working perfectly now. Not sure how long this will last, but given that it hasn't cost anything, it's certainly worth giving it a go if your controller has this fault. A couple of covers for the analog sticks and this controller will look good as new. So I hope you liked this video, thank you very much for watching and I hope you'll stick around for the next one.